This episode of Musical Hell is brought to you by Midnight Musicals. Welcome to the podcast Musical Underground. Thank you. Greetings, mortals. Welcome to another session of the Infernal Court in Musical Hell. I'm Diva, your judge, jury, executioner, and unnaturally cheerful camp counselor. Ah, Disney Channel original movies, my old nemesis. Along with bad sequels, direct-to-video knockoffs, religious pandering, YouTube copyright. Look, I've got a lot of nemeses. It kind of comes with the whole demon thing. But today we're focusing on the DCOM, specifically our next offender, Camp Rock. Despite having arguably the most pre-existing star power among the Disney Channel movies, what with 1/3 of the Jonas Brothers playing the male lead and the other 2/3 popping up occasionally, Camp Rock never quite took off to the same degree, meriting only a single sequel and a short reality series. And I can kind of see why. High School Musical had novelty, Descendants had cross-canon mashup, Zombies has a third movie, which I promise will show up in this court one day. What does Camp Rock have? Let's examine the case and find out. A then up-and-coming Demi Lovato stars as Mitchie, an aspiring songwriter who has a notebook full of tunes, a song in her heart, and a burning desire to attend Camp Rock, a summer immersion course in all things aspiring pop superstars need to know. Alas, the tuition is much too high for her parents' tastes, so she's resigned to bemoaning her fate to her brainy friend.
But you have to go. Camp Rock is like the music camp. Anybody who wants to be somebody in music, all of which you already know. Sorry.
It may not be entirely true that once you've seen one Disney Channel original movie, you've seen them all, but you definitely get a sense of deja vu after a few of them. It will surprise nobody to know that Mitchie is a kind but shy girl who needs to learn a lesson about being true to yourself. She will have a cute love interest, a quirky gal pal, and an obscenely rich and spoiled blonde girl who will become her rival. You can kind of see why producers think artificial intelligence can write scripts for them. They just want to plug the same basic ideas into a different setting and hope a story comes out of it. Mitchie's luck takes a turn for the better when her mom lands the catering job for Camp Rock, thus enabling Mitchie to get a tuition discount in return for kitchen assistance. So we are promptly whisked away to the title location, where we meet quirky gal pal Caitlin, obscenely rich and spoiled blonde girl Tess, the extremely British camp director Brown Cesario, and the generally superfluous to the plot music director Dee LaDuke.
Here at Camp Rock we sing, so let's hear that again. Sounds good.
She's no Mrs. Darbus. And I didn't even like Mrs. Darbus. Dee hints that there will be a special celebrity instructor at the camp who is revealed to be Shane Gray, the bad boy of the totally not the Jonas Brothers pop group Connect 3. Shane's prima donna antics have gotten to the point where the trio has had to cancel their entire tour while he rehabilitates his image, and the camp is the best place to do that as the boys are alumni.
Hey man, we used to love this place. 3 years ago, we were campers.
Yeah, man, this is where Connect 3 connected.
And also not very good at line readings. The acting will not get much better as we go along, believe me. Also, Brown is apparently Shane's uncle, and Shane has been roped into recording a duet with the winner of Final Jam, the camp's end-of-season competition. Because of course there's an end-of-season competition, because how else would Tess get her comeuppance and Mitchie triumph over adversity? Said adversity for Mitchie is twofold. She's the only person at the camp who's not some kind of entertainment industry nepo baby, and she's actually shy about singing in front of other people. And she wanted to go to a camp where she would be expected to perform in front of others because... Anyway, when nobody's looking, Mitchie sneaks a quick session at the piano that just happens to be in the dining hall, and Shane, hiding from some squealing fans in the bushes below the window, just happens to overhear her. It's love at first note, but since we're not even 15 minutes into the movie, Mitchie leaves before Shane can see her, leaving him to wonder about the mysterious woman whose voice has captured his heart. All we need is a shipwreck and a sea witch, and it will be a much better Disney movie. At the opening night jam, absolutely everything is a jam at this camp, it's a whole thing. Mitchie is intimidated by the connections of the other campers, particularly Tess, who is the daughter of singing sensation T.J. Tyler. And because the other campers are displaying a level of class snobbery normally reserved for Jane Austen villains, Mitchie concocts the implausible story of her mom being president of this universe's MTV clone Chinese affiliate. A lie which Tess immediately believes because this is a DCOM and nobody is ever smarter than they need to be, which means that they're usually very stupid indeed. We also get an impressively produced impromptu open mic performance by one Lola Scott. Which ends up being sin number 3, as it's not very exciting. Even the background actors are giving it a reception normally reserved for subway buskers, and is performed by a character who we will basically never see for the rest of the movie. Anyway, Tess is so impressed by Mitchie's false connections that she immediately invites her to move into her cabin. The other residents are the rest of Tess's mean girl trio, which consists of Ditzy Ella and Hidden Depths Peggy, and Tess's own desperate need for validation from her famous, frequently absent mother. And so we enter the second part of the movie where Mitchie has to zany scheme her way through the situation she's brought upon herself, sneaking out early for KP duty and coming up with all manner of lame excuses.
Mitchie? You're dreaming. You're a rock princess. Okay, I rock.
In between, she joins the other campers for very vaguely defined group classes.
Whoa! If the classes are rocking, I'm glad I came knocking.
Ew, I am getting definite future sexual harassment lawsuit defendant vibes off Brown here. Brown asks for a volunteer to perform, only to pick Mitchie because she's the only person not aggressively volunteering herself.
Who will I be? It's up to me.
All right, I know you're singing a solo, but it's so low, I can't hear you.
I'm getting a little tired of watching Demi Lovato doing the whole, "Oh, please don't make me sing in front of all these people. I don't think I'm all that good, really," routine. It reeks of false modesty, especially since all it takes is Brown saying, a little louder maybe, to get her into full Disney pop princess mode.
Yes, I believe I get to make the future what I want to.
Tess is instantly threatened by Mitchie's talent and offers to let her join Ella and Peggy as one of her backup singers for Final Jam. Mitchie hesitates as she was planning on doing a solo, even though she's been very firmly against singing in public thus far. Seriously, it's like her one character trait. Can you at least try to develop it in a way that makes sense? Regardless, all it takes is Tess going, "Really? You've never sung in public ever?" to send Mitchie back into wallflower status, tagging along after Tess in a way that puts strain on her budding friendship with Caitlin. Speaking of budding, it's time for her meet cute with Shane, which involves him wandering into the kitchen for assistance and her sticking her face in a flour bag to disguise herself.
See, my manager said he sent over my food allergy list, but since I couldn't even go near my breakfast this morning, can I just talk to whoever's in charge?
Excuse me?
What?
Well, you're kind of being a jerk.
I don't know. I'd rather not be killed by my breakfast seems like a pretty reasonable request for a celebrity, or indeed anybody, to make. But Shane is properly chastised by Mitchie's requests for please and thank yous, as well as by Uncle Brown's standard, "What happened to you, man? It used to be about the music" talk. So he finally decides to start pulling his weight at Camp Rock by teaching a hip-hop dance class. I'm really starting to question the quality of the faculty in this program. Shane's lucky this scene is choreographed. It saves him the trouble of actually teaching anything. But he does show some hidden depths of his own by encouraging a kid whose rhythmic talent is more in drumming than dancing, and by writing songs in his off time. Meanwhile, Mitchie continues to dig herself deeper, even as Caitlin tries to warn her off Tess's toxic friendship, which brings us to Campfire Jam. I wasn't kidding.
'Cause I'm too cool, too cool, I'm too cool, I know you.
I'm always impressed at how the amateur impromptu performances in a DCOM always manage to be these full production numbers with costumes and backup dancers. What I am not impressed about is how the songs are not only pretty superfluous to the plot, they generally don't do a great job in their true purpose of showcasing Disney's stable of up-and-coming pop stars. Anyway, let's throw some second act complications in, shall we? Caitlin accidentally trips Tess in the mess hall and refuses to apologize, because Caitlin is in many ways as petty as Tess, but in a way where we're supposed to side with her for some reason. Things escalate, a food fight involving a bunch of dry unflavored noodles breaks out. Doesn't speak well for Mom's catering abilities, to be honest. And when Brown steps in, Tess blames the whole thing on Caitlin. Mitchie refuses to contradict her, so Caitlin ends up being put on kitchen duty. But Mitchie doesn't have much time to feel guilty about that, as her relationship with Shane is proceeding apace as they bond over songwriting.
I thought you loved your sound. You created it here. You're like a camp rock legend.
Some legend.
See, Shane is one of those, my record label only wants me to perform cookie-cutter pop hits, but I want to write real music types. And what is the song he performs for Mitchie to prove his depths as an artist and demonstrate his daring new sound that is too risky for hidebound music executives?
You're the voice I hear inside my head, the reason that I'm singing, I need to find you.
You know, Disney, maybe a movie centering on your prefabricated pop acts isn't the best place for a character who's trying to branch out into something more experimental. Especially when his stuff is about as experimental as a 50-year-old Epcot exhibit. Shane reveals to Mitchie that he wrote that song in honor of his mystery girl with the amazing voice who he's been unable to locate, and they resolutely avoid saying or asking anything that could clear this entire situation up. But all the zany scheming cannot help Mitchie keep her secret once Caitlin shows up for her kitchen shift.
Mitchie?
Caitlin, being mildly smarter than the rest of the characters, puts two and two together and takes Mitchie to task for being a big phony. Mitchie's only response is, well, you're a phony too, which causes Caitlin to hesitate on spilling the beans to the entire camp, contenting herself with throwing some shade at Pajama Jam. Come on, this is getting ridiculous. Right before demonstrating her skills as a budding music producer. It's not exactly Daft Punk, although she certainly has the first part down. But Shane is grooving along, which infuriates Tess so much that she pretends to see a snake to interrupt the performance. Caitlin accuses Tess of being unable to tolerate other people's success and gets some prime "how do you do, fellow kids" in response.
Okay, what is that? She said, whatever, major loser.
Mitchie actually stands up for Caitlin this time, rebuilding their relationship to the point where Caitlin confesses that she used to run with Tess's crowd before Tess began to see her as competition. Yeah, I can see how Tess would feel threatened by this. But despite Caitlin's popularity isn't everything speech, Mitchie isn't quite ready to cut ties yet. Meanwhile, Shane takes a phone call from his bandmates / possible siblings, because damn it, we have 3 Jonas Brothers and we're going to use them all.
Listen, about me recording with the camper.
You gotta do it, man. No go-backs.
Yeah, no go backs. It's like the golden rule.
No, dude, the golden rule is tell the truth.
Dude, then it can be like the silver rule.
Shane is determined to find his mystery singer, as he's convinced that she will win Final Jam and the duet with him. And since Connect 3 are the judges, that's probably a safe bet. But he still needs to find her first, so he puts out the word that he's looking for the girl with the voice, resulting in the traditional Parade of the Undesirables.
What you waiting for? Here we go, so much flow, show me the dreams you have.
Montages like this make me wonder how bad an institution has to be to have a talent pool this shallow. Mitchie doesn't bother trying out because she's convinced Shane couldn't have possibly heard her sing. Besides, she still has confidence issues as the plot demands, and the plot is demanding at least another half hour of running time. But she still meets him by the lake so she can admire his songwriting talent and take romantic canoe rides.
So, have you found your special girl yet?
Why are you jealous?
Did I say romantic? Make that insufferable. Tess sees the two of them together and begins stalking Mitchie out of jealousy, and thus finally figures out Mitchie has been lying about her background this entire time. She spills the beans at Beach Jam. Opposition, damn it! And Shane reacts in typical third act breakup manner.
But
You know, I'm so used to people pretending around me.
I was not pretending.
And I really thought you were different.
So while Mitchie goes to feel sorry for herself, Shane, who somehow still hasn't figured out the girl he's looking for is probably the only girl in camp he hasn't heard sing yet, gets some life advice from his uncle while Tess stalks him. So she overhears him singing his muse's song, realizes it's the same song Mitchie performed for Brown's class earlier, but Brown doesn't recognize it? Or maybe he does, but doesn't do anything about it because, as we will soon see, Brown is terrible at doing anything productive? Whatever, Tess decides to sabotage Mitchie, who has left the girl group to do a final jam performance with Caitlin, by claiming that Mitchie stole her charm bracelet.
If she wants to look, let her. This is stupid.
Okay.
No, Mitchie, that is the last thing you should say in an obvious frame-up. Sure enough, Tess has planted the bracelet under a pile of cookbooks, so of course Mitchie is deemed guilty because absolutely nobody else has access to the open, generally unlocked kitchen, and Tess all but admits that she just walked in and put the bracelet there, and wouldn't it have made more sense to plant it somewhere more incriminating like the songbook under Mitchie's mattress? And sweet Lucifer, even for a decom this is a dumb plot development. Despite the extremely specious evidence, Brown claims he has to abide by camp policy and bans Mitchie and Caitlin from camp activities until after the end of Final Jam, a condition he repeats just to make the loophole he's leaving for them absolutely clear. And so we finally end up at Final Jam, with the press in attendance because absolutely nothing else is going on in the entertainment world. Backstage, Tess is verbally abusing... I need to look up their names. It's been so long since they mattered. Ella and Peggy couldn't resist. Anyway, she's finally had enough.
You're the one who's ruining everything. You're too intense all the time, and I am sick and tired of picking up your slack, too. Peggy, come back here.
Ella ends up performing with the token hip-hop kids. Talk about a last-minute adjustment. And Tess is taking the stage when, lo and behold, the famous mother whose attention and approval she has been so desperately craving shows up just in time to see her perform. I will give the movie this. For all the cliches it has been adhering to with absolute orthodoxy, it did manage to pull a decent subversion of the estranged parent attends child's performance and is impressed trope. While Tess goes backstage to have a good fake cry, Brown gets ready to announce the conclusion of Final Jam, but Dee, remember her? Stops him with a last-minute entrant. It turns out to be none other than Hidden Depths Peggy, demonstrating her hidden depths with a flashback-laden solo. So now Final Jam is officially over. I guess they just had those 3 acts. And while the judges compare notes, Mitchie and Caitlin grab Brown's attention.
It's the end of Final Jam.
I was so hoping you'd catch on.
The implication seems to be Brown knew they were innocent the whole time, but couldn't do anything about it because... Oh, look, he just couldn't. It's a Disney Channel movie, and besides, it's almost over. So Mitchie finally takes the stage and performs her one song.
This is me.
That's the song. So that must be the girl.
Good job, Shane. I think you were literally the last person in the entire camp to figure that out. Shane joins in on Mitchie's performance with his own original song, proving there really isn't any difference between that and the rest of the music we've heard. Everything is wrapped up. Peggy wins Final Jam, Mitchie gets the consolation prize of being Shane's girlfriend, Tess apologizes and admits the frame-up, but doesn't get punished because she's nice now, at least until the sequel. Group finale!
Raise your hands up in the air and scream. We're finding our voice, following our dreams as we rock.
And so that isn't the end? Yeah, apparently Caitlin has built a home recording studio. This was 2008, before everybody and their imp servant had a home recording studio, and has invited Mitchie, the Mean Girl Trio, and Lola, remember her, to check it out, and sing another finale.
Come on, let go. Leave it all behind. Your past and mine.
What happened? Did Disney realize they needed an extra 5 minutes to stretch this to 2 hours plus commercials? Sit number 8 at the buzzer for this useless epilogue.
Come on, let go.
Camp Rock isn't as memorably ridiculous as some of the other Disney Channel original musicals, but that's because it's not very memorable at all. The only things that stick out are Demi Lovato and the Jonas Brothers, and that's because of general pop culture recognition. Everything else, the plot, the characters, the music, is an exercise in pointless tedium. So the Court of Musical Hell condemns the producers to an extended stay with Colin Robinson. So let it be recorded. This session of the Infernal Court in Musical Hell is now adjourned.